So I was living in Los Angeles, pursuing my dream of becoming a Hollywood filmmaker for many years. Finally wrote and directed my first movie it came out in 2019 on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. And then I was supposed to direct my second movie in 2020. COVID happened, shut down the whole film industry, and basically ended my dreams. Once I realized the extent of COVID's effect on the industry, I could see that my movie wasn't coming back and the whole industry wasn't coming back. And you can see that 4 years later, it hasn't come back to what it was pre-COVID. And so I had a major identity crisis. I was also turning 40 in 2022. So basically those 2 years from start of the pandemic to spring 2022 was a major identity crisis because I'd been pursuing this one dream, and now it's what do I do with my life, and I'm approaching 40, right? So just before I turned 40 in April I was going to turn 40 of 2022, and just before that in March, I left the country, left the US, where I'd lived my whole life. And I bought a one-way ticket to Bali. And basically it was like, okay, I don't want to turn 40 in the US with a dead dream and no career anymore and no wife or kids or anything. I don't want to turn 40 here. It's not a good look in the US, right? And so bought a one-way ticket to Bali, and now I've been here for 2 years and basically figuring out what to do with my life post 40 in Bali, starting over. And I'm making these videos to document my journey so that I'm hoping that people will start watching and interacting with me, like communicating about their own journeys. And maybe I can inspire, maybe that you can inspire me to have a different outlook and a different approach to life, to the new life, whatever it's starting over looks like, or whatever the transition looks like. And in my experience, a lot of people, particularly in the US, that's where I know, so I can speak to that, very unhappy. If you look at the numbers of people on anti-anxiety or anti-depression drugs, plus taking into account alcohol, weed, etc., and porn and video games, all the things that people are doing to numb themselves because they're just, and release dopamine and other brain chemicals that feel good, because they're not particularly happy with their life. They're not getting fulfillment and joy from what they're doing with their life. And also, I think a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs in the next few years, both from economic conditions and also AI taking a lot of people's jobs. AI is going to take a lot of people's jobs. And I think that a lot of people are going to end up, like me, post 40, looking for a new career or a path in life. And for one thing, I want to remove the stigma around that. If a lot of people are doing it, then it's not abnormal. Then it's not something to be ashamed of and something to feel bad about. And that's the big thing, is if you feel bad about it, then you're not going to do much that's worthwhile, and you're going to just feel bad all the time. So one thing I want to do is just remove the stigma around it. Hey, I'm going through it. We're all going through it. So let's not beat ourselves up about it. And then let's also look at what we have done with our lives and what lessons we can learn. And for me, it's just pursuing something for money and being so focused on money. I don't think that helped me. And in fact, it didn't. And I also think that we can look at what else does life have to offer? What else can we get from life besides just money? And see if we can do both of these at the same time. In other words, I'm not saying don't pursue money. We all need money to live and support our families. I'd like to have a family. So I'm not saying discounting that. But how can we do both? And so for me, I'll give you my example. For me, right, I'm in Bali, and I've been doing an improv comedy for just for the sake of it, for the fun of it, for the art of it, and teaching some classes and getting, and also, but myself trying to get better and just doing it for the art of it. And in Bali, I did improv in the US, in LA and New York. And there, most people were doing it as a stepping stone into an acting career or maybe a writing career, but most people were doing it as some kind of means to an end, some kind of launch pad, and not doing it just for the sake of the craft and the art itself. Some people were, but just majority were not. And here, there is no film or acting industry to get into, really. People doing improv here are just doing it for the sake of it, for the fun of it, for the craft, for the art. And so that has been really influential on me, to just be doing something for the art and the craft, and no one's really trying to use it as a means to an end, and no one's looking at it as some path, as some way to make money, and it's really just about, just for the love of the game. So that's had a big impact on me, because I think it's important to have something like that in my life, and I think in your life too. Doesn't have to be the only thing. It can be a side thing. It can be a hobby, but having something in your life that you are doing for the sake of it, for the art of it, for the craft of it. And I think there is a difference between something that has a craft to it, has an art to it, has something where you can improve your craft, versus something that's just consuming entertainment, just watching TV or playing video games, or more, I think, detrimental, porn or alcohol, drugs, etc. But the point I'm making is, spending a couple hours watching TikTok or videos is different than spending a couple hours, whatever, making a painting, doing some woodworking, doing improv, writing something, filming your own videos or little movies. There's a big difference between those two things. And so I think it's really important that everybody has some kind of creative pursuit that is a craft that they can develop, and develop their own style in. I think that's important too, is something like a sport, I think, is really good also. But a lot of sports, you learn the technical moves, how to swing the racket, how to shoot the ball, etc. And that's cool, but there's less of developing your own unique expression. And yeah, obviously we can watch basketball players or whatever, and people have different game styles that they play. But I think there's a difference when we're talking about something like a painting, a movie, a writing, some kind of woodworking, something where you can really express something from within you and continue to develop the craft so that you continue to express more and more. And so I think that is one component of a happy life. That's what I'm latching onto. And again, I said I think. This is all, I don't know. I'm not claiming to have all the answers. But that's what I'm experiencing and concluding from my life experience so far, and what I was saying about doing the comparison of doing improv in Bali versus doing it in Los Angeles and New York. And I'd say I'm going to continue, I think, this tomorrow about other components of a happy life that I'm pursuing and experimenting with. But I think to leave this video with, find some kind of craft or art that you can do as a hobby, as a side thing, but that you can continue to get better at, but also is enjoyable and fulfilling and is creative, meaning you're creating something, you're not just consuming something, TikTok videos or whatever. So I'll leave it on that. Tune back in. I'm making these videos every day to document my journey and my pursuit of a happy and creative life. Hopefully you'll join me on this journey.